Good one. Whoever we get. Hopefully somebody who's good and long-serving.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure. Still a quorum at least.
The Plymouth Township Planning Commission meeting will come to order at 7 p.m. And if our vice chair will please call roll.
Dennis Sabalski.
Here.
Kendra Barberina is here. Gail Grieger is expected but is excused. Bob Dorshevitz.
Here.
Tim Boyd.
Here.
James Berry is excused.
He may show up later. Okay, thank you. And we have the approval of this evening's agenda. And there is one item that will be removed from the agenda, application 2498, the conditional rezoning in North Territorial. And Ms. Hall, do you want to provide some detail on that?
Yes, thank you. This application, as a conditional rezoning, requires a sign to be erected on the property. And while there was a sign erected, it had the wrong date by the sign maker. They removed the sign, but they weren't able to fix it in time to meet that requirement. So even though the notices were published in the paper and sent to the property owners, the sign did not fulfill that requirement completely. And, we just need to move it to the next available meeting, which would be November 15th, and republish the notices and make sure the sign has the correct date and is out there.
Will the residents adjacent to the property get re-noticed as well?
They will, yes. Okay. It's almost as like
starting over?
Starting over, yes.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Thank you. And with that is the approval of the amended agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the agenda as amended.
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Barberina and supported by Commissioner Boyd to approve the amended agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And the approval of our September 20th minutes.
Mr. Chairman, do you think at all we should postpone this until the secretary is here, or do you think it's okay to go ahead and approve them?
Maybe we should postpone it until she's here.
So I could just table them. What do you think?
Yeah.
Just
Any
table
discussion?
both of them until the secretary. Okay, you want to make such a motion?
Sure. Mr. Chairman, I move that we table the approval of the minutes for September 20th, 2023, and of the study session of October 4th, 2023, until later in this meeting,
If she shows up.
if the secretary is available or comes into the meeting.
Is there support?
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Barberina, supported by Commissioner Boyd to table the September 20th meeting on October 4th until the secretary is present. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now we're at public comments. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak on a non-agenda item? Yes, sir. Come up to the lectern and give us your name and address if you so desire.
Name and what?
Oh, your name and address if you wish to share that.
Yes. Hi, my name is Stephen Birmingham, and I'm at 14925 Farmbrook Drive, which is in Lake Point neighborhood, which is the northeast corner of the township. So I just have some general comments about the direction of township development, and I'll follow up with some specific comments about developments that are near my neighborhood. So I've been in Plymouth about 12 years now, and it's concerning to me to see so many developments going up and land use kind of being squeezed to the maximum at certain places. One of the things that really attracted me to Plymouth was the balance between nature and business and residential. And I'm worried that that balance is getting off whack. So I would urge the Planning Commission to remember that what makes Plymouth so special is that balance between nature, residential, and business, and not feel like every plot of land needs to be maximized with the biggest possible building or the biggest possible residential establishment. So a couple of the places that have gone up near me, this would be on Haggerty Road, just south of Schoolcraft. There's an automotive factory that's gone up, and a big difference between that location and the existing location of Bosch is Bosch had installed a berm with trees in there so that when you're in the neighborhood, you can hardly see the Bosch facility at all. And then the new automotive facility that's gone up just south of Schoolcraft, there's nothing like that. And then across the street, they're building something what I've been told is an RV parking lot. And there doesn't appear to be anything like that at all. So I really hope that there's some way that they could build in some sort of natural barrier that separates the businesses from the residential. So it doesn't feel like these businesses are right on top of you as soon as you leave your neighborhood. And then one last comment that is concerning to me is I understand that the courthouse grill location, they're going to put over 100 families in that tiny piece of property. That seems like way too many families for that small of a piece of property. So those are my general comments, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you for coming in. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak? Yes. And I should mention that there's a 3-minute limit.
It won't take me that long.
Oh, okay.
My name is Judith Washburn. I live at 13300 Ridge Road, right next to where the dentist office is going to be. My concern is, I've been out here for 50 years. Why do we have to rezone North Territorial? It's always been residential. Ann Arbor Road was to be the commercial area. Of course, I'm against the dental office. I'm against anything but a house there. And the deal is that these people buy that acre, and then it's now owned by a realtor who bought it from the other guy. He wants a fortune for it, so that my neighbor and I really can't afford to buy it because it's way out of our price range. And in the meantime, when you put up a dental office right there, what's that going to do to my property value? And I'm agreeing with that man too. Now, up where I'm at, we're going to have a racetrack. We've got a big storage warehouse going up. We're going to have a Myers. I mean, come on. It's not going to be anything. Plymouth is going to be I don't know. Anyway, that's my complaints. Thank you for listening.
And we will have the public hearing for it next month. Oh, okay. All right. Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we'll close the public comment. And we'll move on to a public hearing for application 2496 on Concept Drive, a special land use for outdoor storage. And Ms. Howell, if you would lead us through the discussion on this.
Thank you. As you can see from the site aerial, this site, it's approximately 4 acres vegetated, is located at the northwest corner of Concept Drive and Plymouth Road. It's not within the Metro Business Industrial Park, but it's right adjacent to that. And to the left, or to the east, is the Door Building. Or excuse me, the west is the Door Building. The applicant is proposing to construct just under a 34,000 square foot industrial building. This site is zoned the industrial district where it's a speculative building. So it could feature a number of different tenants in the future. But it is being constructed for industrial, warehouse, and office uses as the likely tenants. The reason this application is before you for a special land use is because they are offering the addition of outdoor storage. And they'd like to offer that as a potential advantage for prospective tenants that may need some of that additional space, whether it's just one tenant or whether it's several users of that building that would need outdoor storage. And so the outdoor storage component is considered the special land use. The warehouse, manufacturing, office is a principal permitted use and is not in question. The special land use review in your packet details the 6 criteria which are necessary for evaluation on a special land use, and we do find that this complies. This is in an established industrial park due to an industrial area due to the location of the property. The parcel that's directly south, you can see on the aerial, is a detention basin that's on a separate parcel. So that will remain as vegetated and to stay in that natural state. So there's already permanent screening from the Plymouth Road right away. In terms of how the applicant has proposed the outdoor storage, it would be located behind the building, which is west of the building. So it's also screened from Concept Drive. So there will be little to no visual impact of that outdoor area. In addition, they've proposed to screen the outdoor storage within the site itself with a masonry wall and additional landscaping. So it's already tucked into the park, located behind the rear of the building, and contains the screening that's required in the ordinance with the masonry wall and some additional landscaping. So we feel that aesthetically, this would not be noticeable within the park. It also meets the use standards for outdoor storage, which I think are listed starting on page 5 of our report. Yes. So they meet those additional setbacks and material standards. So due to the compliance and the minimal impact that we feel it would have on the surrounding industrial users and area, we are recommending to grant special land use approval for this application, contingent that the site plan receives approval. That's the only condition that we are recommending at this time. And the site plan is listed later on in the agenda tonight, but I think it's important to note that we've already gone back and forth with the applicant on some revisions to their site plan. They've addressed our comments, and there's only one outstanding item on their site plan, which has to do with the sidewalk along Concept Drive. So they are largely in compliance with all of the township's ordinances, even getting into the site plan. And they are here this evening if you have additional questions for them. Thank you.
And the applicant is here? Yes. Did you have anything you wanted to say about this?
Yeah, so my name's Mike Thompson. I'm an architect. This is the owner, my client, George Greer of Brayson and Greer. So we're excited with this new project, this 4-acre greenfield site, a 34,000 square foot light industrial building that we're planning to construct there. Just a question though, we've got 2 agenda items. One is the special land use for the outdoor storage, which is unique to this project, and we could describe it. And then we're on for the full site plan to present that as well. So should we present the entire project, or should we just talk about the outdoor storage first?
Here, our primary purpose is the outdoor storage, but you can touch upon the site plan as well.
Okay,
It is
so
encompassing that as well. So.
okay. Laura, could you pull up the site plan, or is that? The landscape plan might show the building best.
Which diagram do you want?
Landscape? um,
Couple more.
oh, perfect. Yeah, that one's good.
Right here?
Yeah. Okay. All right, so this building, we're calling it a flex building, and it's flexibility for George's business to rent it as a landlord, and it has flexibility with the outdoor storage as well. So flexibility with the building, it has 12 bays that are 40-foot bays, so it's a long linear building with frontage and 12 separate entrances. So George there's a market for smaller light industrial spaces for steel fabricators, electricians, painters, distributors, tradesmen mostly. So George operates a large facility in Livonia right now, so he's very familiar. He has the same type of clientele that this type of space, to get a smaller space in this area is difficult. And having the bonus of being able to have a screened access to a specific part of screened outdoor storage is a huge plus as well for tradesmen. So there's flexibility because this building can be with firewalls and load bearing. George is a masonry that's been in business for how many years? 43 years? Okay. All right, so he's going to act as a general contractor as well. So it can be broken up into 12 different tenants, or the least amount would be 4. So we've got flexibility either way for the size of the fit out, you know, judging on what type of tenants he gets. The less would be more preferable. So the other thing is we're doing something unique with your land bank. So typically, in order to have less parking, we're providing more than half the required parking, but because this building is so lightly loaded with occupants, and it's mostly storage, you know, with shop space, we want to land bank a ready-made extra parking lot in the back behind it off of Concept Drive. It's designated for outdoor storage, but it's a concrete and drained and screened with a 6-foot-high decorative masonry wall with lighting. But it's set up as a parking lot as well. So it's land bank, but it's future parking if George needs it. But based on the business model in George's business, it's going to be outdoor storage that we're going to utilize and need the parking only in front of the building on Concept Drive. But if something happens and there was a surge, which we don't expect, of business that required more parking, he would stripe and turn over a percentage of that paved area that's readily available to turn into parking. So we're land banking ready-made paved area versus typically you land bank landscaped area and you dot in future parking if you need it. So that's what we're asking for tonight, to do that as well. So George's business, it's all tradesmen who have some service vehicles. It's material in the back, maybe some scissor lifts, and everything meets the outdoor storage yard. Nothing's going to be stacked higher than 8 feet. Nothing's combustible. As a mason, it's going to be fully screened, and it's going to have decorative gates as well because it'll be a secured yard and lit as well. So that's a big draw for the clientele that he's looking for. So it's on 3 sides. It's
So these are individual tenants, right?
correct. So it's set up into 12 bays. They're 40-foot wide bays. The depth of the building is about 70 or 60. It's stepped to articulate the facade and break down the mass of the building. The building is 28 feet high with reveals on it with banding. And then the back is split face, but the front and the sides is these ambassador units of dark and red colored for the facade.
So are these like this is space for tradespeople that work elsewhere during the day, and they use this as their storage in their shop?
Yeah,
Okay, I got it.
What else can I add? Let's see.
So is there storage within that building that the tenant could use and may not even use the outdoor storage?
most of the tenants that I have use the building for their storage and park service vans or trailers outside. That's
Okay.
what they do. They store their tools or their equipment or the material, and anything that would be too big for the shop, they'd leave it outside.
How are you marketing this? I mean, what kind of businesses do you hope to attract?
Mostly tradespeople. I'm in the construction business, mostly people like me,
Okay,
to be honest.
yeah.
I don't really want.
So
large tenants.
carpenters and, electricians,
No,
that kind of thing?
I have a commercial carpenter as a tenant right now that does interior finishes, metal stuff.
Yeah, but they're,
I have an electrician, heating and cooling, that kind of thing.
they're people that spend their days working on sites,
Right.
not in the
Yeah,
facility.
they're 1 or 2 or 3 employees, come in the morning, pick up the van, park their vehicle, go to the job.
Yeah.
At night, they return the van and pick up their car.
Keep some supplies there, stuff like that.
A lot of them keep quite a bit of supplies,
Yeah.
Is the storage yard area the portion along the bottom of the drawing here that's sort of cross-hatched? Is that the area?
That is, it's crosshatched for outdoor storage. So if you leased for George's tenants, it would go along, you'd have the conditioned space, and then you'd have a ratio of some of the outdoor storage as well.
So is the outdoor storage for all the tenants, and will they divide it up somehow, or some sort of security between the tenants so that things aren't, say, stolen? How will that
I
work?
haven't had any problems yet, and I haven't divided it up yet.
Okay.
Most of their vehicles will be locked. And most of the people that my tenants now know each other, they get along fine.
So you're relocating from somewhere?
No, George's business in Livonia, where his own company, Brayson and Greer, is located. He has his own development and parcel with a number of these flex-type businesses. So this is a new development of all new tenants that you'd have, right?
Yeah. This is, most of these tenants will be people that have been in business for a while and are growing. A lot of people start their businesses in their house, park their van in their driveway. When they get too big, they have to find somewhere. And these units are small enough to attract that kind of a business person.
Any other questions on the outdoor storage portion of this?
Ready for a motion?
As soon as I get myself together here, just. Okay, is there a motion on the special land use storage?
Chairman Sabalski,
Pardon?
could we open the
Oh.
public hearing?
Yeah, I forgot.
Right.
So we'll open the public hearing at 7:23. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak to this issue? You have 3 minutes.
Hi, I'm Steve Birmingham, and I just had a question because I just wanted to understand. When I was looking at Concept Drive, it came off onto Eccles, but it looked like on their drawing it came off onto Plymouth Road. Am I missing something? Does Concept Drive connect to Plymouth Road?
L-shaped, inverted L.
Okay, it does connect all the way from one side to the other side. Okay, the map on the internet just must not be updated. Thank you.
Anyone else? With that, we'll close the public hearing at 7:24. Any other questions from the commission? Okay, is there a motion?
Excuse me. Mr. Chairman, I move that we grant special land use for outdoor storage for application number 2496, located at 40975 Concept Drive, as it meets the 6 criterias and complies with the use standards, all of which are in the McKenna report dated September 29th, 2023.
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Barberina and supported by Commissioner Dorchevitz to, is this a recommendation? I can't remember.
It's just a decision by the planning commission
Oh,
tonight.
okay, all right. So it's been motioned and second to approve the outdoor storage for application 2496. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right, and then skipping over the other public hearing. And now we're at application 2497, which is the site plan for the Concept Drive proposal. So Laura, would you walk us through your report?
Yes, thank you. So this is for the same subject property, and as I mentioned, they are in compliance with the zoning ordinance standards. They comply with all the dimensional requirements, they exceed the setbacks, and the building is only proposed at 28 feet in height, which is, much less than the 35 feet in height. That is the maximum for the site, or for the industrial district. They are removing a number of trees as part of this project, since this is a greenfield site. However, they are providing the required replacement and even exceeding that count slightly. The one underlying outstanding item that we have listed is that a sidewalk is required along Concept Drive, and similar to the other industrial users, there is no existing sidewalk network inside the township's industrial parks. So we're recommending payment in lieu be supported by the Planning Commission to go towards other public sidewalk connections in the township. That would be one condition of approval. I think it's important to note that the applicant touched on their banked parking spaces, which is a nice use of the space to not create additional unnecessary impervious surface. If they don't need the outdoor storage for the tenant, then it can become additional parking if that tenant has more employees within the space itself. Regarding the building architecture, if you wanted to go back to the site plan packet, Trustee Dershowitz, the applicant has done, in a couple pages down from that landscape plan, and look at the building elevations, the applicant has done a nice job to really break up that front facade along Concept Drive. If you look at the site plan and plan view, you can see the bump outs in the building elevation. But by doing so and having a significant amount of space between some of those wall partitions, they've been able to incorporate landscaping between a frontage landscaping along the building, which adds some depth and just makes it more inviting. So we see that as a benefit and appreciate the applicant's willingness to do that. It's also important to note that their lighting is in full compliance. And they are only doing building mounted lighting. They don't need any additional lighting, pole lighting in their parking lot or along the site. So that is also another benefit in our eyes, and not something we can require, but something that's appreciated. So our recommendation is on page 7, and due to the full compliance with the ordinance, we are recommending tentative and final site plan approval, contingent that this commission finds the payment in lieu for Concept Drive acceptable. Thank you.
Okay, and the engineering report?
Good evening. We have received the site plan submittal for the 40975 Concept Drive project prepared by Story Engineering Group, dated August 21st, and received by our office on September 27th. Our letter is dated October 3rd. The following are our comments. Water service will be provided by an 8-inch water main extension from the existing 12-inch water main along the east side of Concept Drive. Domestic water leads, size is not currently shown, will be provided to serve the different tenants, along with hydrants on site. The comments for the water main are no landscaping will be allowed within the water easement. The standard size of water main pipe shall be a minimum of 12-inch for industrial developments. This shall be revised on the plans. Provide at least 20 feet clearance from center line of water main to outside edge of any building structure. Locate proposed public water main in a 12-foot minimum width easement, and all hydrants shall be placed at least 25 feet from any exterior wall or a distance greater than the wall height, whichever is larger. Sanitary sewer service will be provided from the existing 8-inch sanitary sewer along the west side of Concept Drive. A 6-inch sanitary lead will be provided to serve the building. Stormwater will be collected by a single storm sewer collection system and discharged to an existing offsite regional detention basin south of the site. The stormwater for this new development will utilize the existing business park's stormwater detention basin south of the site, and it will get cleaned up and expanded slightly to accommodate the new site. A preliminary review process took place with Wayne County to determine the feasibility of using the basin for the project. Final approval will be required from Wayne County Department of Public Services to confirm the detention basin and pretreatment meet their current requirements. Based on the comments stated in our site plan review letter, we recommend approval of the final site plan with all additional comments being addressed in the engineering review stage. Thank you.
Thank you. And the applicant has received a communication from the fire department. There are no deficiencies, and the plan is approved and submitted in terms of public safety. Do you want to step up and speak to this aspect of your project?
Yeah, so should I address the planning or engineering or fire comments?
I would do the planning first, and
Okay,
then engineering, we
okay.
can touch on that.
Okay, so could we scroll to the colored elevation? Oh, you don't have the colored elevations. All right, just the elevations. So for some reason, we don't have the colored ones. Can I pass these around?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so this is going to be a pretty handsome facade with the 3 sides of brick, and we did. The comment was a fair comment of the add some articulation to the short sides, the north and south of the building. So we've broken that facade up and using 2 different colors of brick. So we've stepped it to give it a more depth and shadow lines, and then we've stepped down the parapet as well. So this reduced set of this colored plan I'm showing is a newer version. This one on the screen is previous to the review comments, and then this is the new submission that we sent in. Could we maybe scroll to the site again, please? Any site plan. So this building was set up. This 4-acre site was set up to be developed in this business park, and that is an existing detention basin that was designed to serve the development of this parcel. So as part of George's cost, thank you. We have to, we need to clean that. It's been in neglect, that detention basin on the right. So it's overgrown with a number of cottonwoods, George, and it's not draining properly, and it has to be manicured, and we're going to boost up the amount of planting too, according to the review. We're adding shrubs and trees to that as well. So that's part of the benefit of developing this site is that detention basin is going to be much better looking and much better working for stormwater as well. So when you face Concept Drive horizontally across the top into the business park, we've got the green belt that we're developing and planting to screen the parking in the front yard as required. We've got a water main easement there, and some signage, 2 ways into the site so we can loop it. So we're careful to get for service and for fire egress, a complete loop around this linear building. So it's mostly workers or staff in the front lot, and then the screen behind the building with the 6-foot-high masonry screen wall screens it from the Durr property, and we'll have a pair of gates on each side of the short ends to secure it at night and help screen what's back there as well. It's concrete. There's going to be concrete paving, which George can self-perform that as well. So, but it should be a pretty high-end building for that area, based on the type of buildings that George builds as a contractor with major municipal projects and school projects. So it's a pretty heavy-duty building. It's going to have load-bearing exterior walls, and we're going to build the roof of non-combustible precast plank construction. We're going to have 20-foot clear in the shop area, so it gives them great flexibility and a non-combustible building, great for sound and security. And we talked about how we're going to break it up. So it depends what type of tenants George starts, and then he'll know where the party walls go. But we'll slowly fit this building out, hopefully quickly, the way it is. So it's maxing out the site. We're using about 20% of the site for buildable area when we could use up to 50%. So we think it's well balanced. It's providing the amenities, and there's a need in the marketplace for this smaller type of light industrial use for tradesmen that we're custom tailoring these smaller type spaces for.
Questions from the commission? Okay. Well, are we ready for a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we grant tentative and final site plan approval for PC application number 2497, located at 40975 Concept Drive, subject to the items in the McKenna report, the engineering report, and the fire department report, and that the payment in lieu for the sidewalk is acceptable.
Is there support?
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Barbarita and supported by Commissioner Boyd to grant tentative and site plan approval to application 2497, subject to said conditions. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for your
Good luck.
investment in the township.
Thank you.
Application 2490 is Chipotle on 5 Mile, the facade renovation, material consideration.
Thank you. This application started off as an administrative review.
I didn't get it.
The project consists of the former Arby's, which is being revamped into a Chipotle. And this is in the commercial strip plaza at 47135 5 Mile Road. This is the eastern tenant, the easternmost tenant in that space. And
Just so you know, Laura, I didn't get this in my packet.
you didn't have it. This,
It was in
this-
mine.
Yeah, I didn't get it. I was looking for it, but I thought it was just gonna be a presentation, from you, so, just so
okay.
you know.
No, I'm sorry, there's
Yeah,
a
that's okay.
2-page review.
Yeah, that's okay.
So the applicant submitted for an administrative review, just for a couple changes to the pavement to replace the canopies that you can see in that bottom left picture, red, with some more modern black canopies for the strip center. However, one of the facade changes that they proposed was something that we couldn't approve administratively, which is why it's being presented to the commission tonight. And there's two primary facade changes. On the second page of our review, we show the comparison on the east facade. And here you can see the drive-through window where they're proposing the new awnings. Right above that is proposed to be the removal of some of the brick facade, the existing brick facade, and to fill that in with some EIFS. Because the structure is primarily masonry, this change is acceptable, and we can support this deviation to the east facade. But that is still before you for consideration.
Is there a drive-through there now?
Yes, is the former Arby's.
Yeah, I never knew that.
The facade on the north facade, the front-facing facade along 5 Mile, that's shown on page 1 of our review. And that is the facade change that we we do not recommend, and thus it's before you this evening. There is an existing glass backing on that front facade above the front entryway, and the applicant is proposing to brick that in so that there is greater space for their sign. And as an architectural feature of the existing building, we recommend to not remove that and create additional masonry, but that's not a requirement, so it's to the Planning Commission's discretion on this building. The applicant is here this evening, Jordan, representing the landlord, and can answer questions and kind of explain a little bit about their thought process for wanting to brick this front facade. The other changes that are proposed with the application we're supportive of, and we think by changing the awnings will bring more cohesion to the site, but this is just something that requires your consideration.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Jordan Chapman. I'm with Plymouth Retail Management 2, LLC. We're based out of Bingham Farms, Michigan at 30200 Telegraph Road, Suite 205. I think, Laura did a good job explaining our proposed development here. We just recently acquired the former Arby's, which would also include, it's been condoed off and includes the 3 tenant spaces adjacent. In lieu of this acquisition, we were brought to this site and, ultimately closed and acquired the site in favor for Chipotle. So we do a lot of Chipotle development around, Michigan and some other markets as well as one of their preferred developers. And some of these requested changes are kind of to give them more of their prototypical look, as well as getting away from more of that prototypical Arby's.
So you acquired the Don Vito's as well as?
Correct. It's the Don Vito's, the liquor store right next door, and I think it's is it a nail salon or I forget.
Nail
salon's down at the end. So
is the liquor store
right
not
there.
open anymore?
What was that?
So are these stores closed?
These stores are still open right now. They are, I believe, they're on a month-to-month basis. But the Arby's is the only vacancy that we have right now.
Okay.
So I guess I can start with the eastern facade. I think there was a question about the drive-through window. So I guess I just want to provide a little more clarity on Chipotle's business model themselves. They're going to a lot of these, a drive-through model, but technically it's a pickup window. There is no order point. I'm not sure if you guys have been to what they refer to as the Chipotle lane.
I believe kitty corner from us, that Chipotle is like that. Where
Just
there's
like
a
that?
pickup lane.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So you order on the mobile app, you place your order, and you essentially drive up. It notifies them that you're there. They give you the order, and you leave. So there's not really like a traditional drive-through like a Burger King or a McDonald's where you may be waiting in line. Their traditional stack is maybe a couple cars at a time at their busiest hours, just because there is no order there and they make the food, so you get a little bit of lead time as you place those orders. A part of that change on that eastern facade with the EIFS, it just gives them closer to what they would call their prototypical look and really be cohesive with this overall development and center. As we shift gears to the northern facade, I think it's important to point out that for the overall center, to include the portion that we own, as well as going all the way down to the Jimmy John's, the Jets, the cigar lounge down there, the smoke shop, is that what we're really proposing with this existing change to the storefront is to make it look like the overall center. If you look at some of those, articulated features on the building as you work your way west, our proposal would be more in line with what you'd see at the Red Olive, the Kamichi Box, the Jimmy John's, the Jets, and then of course the smoke shop, as shown on the screen. Originally, when we came in for this request, we did propose during the administrative review process that the window be removed and replaced with EIFS. Based on some feedback that we got and trying to still use high quality materials, we were able to ultimately pivot and offer brick rather than EIFS to be more consistent with that overall look and try, really blend in and mesh with the overall center. I don't know if you look, I wish I had more of a presentation on former, I guess, Arby's locations, but you could tell years back that prototypical Arby's, as they were developing and popping up everywhere, is that glass feature is something that you would see on, if you Googled Arby's, storefront, it'd be there. And that's what, Chipotle is really trying to get away from is not necessarily the space for more signage, but to really not be more branded as an Arby's, but to be branded truly as a Chipotle and to be welcome into the market. Obviously, we're proposing to replace these canopies. It wouldn't just be the canopies at the Arby's, but you can kind of see that they've worn over the years. So really, we're just trying to revitalize this this portion of the center and really get it to mesh with the overall center. I noticed that our neighbors to the west just recently they must have did some maintenance on the canopies because they look far nicer than what ours do right now. I can touch on the sign, but I'm not sure. Right now there isn't an existing monument sign, but we'd be looking to propose a monument sign off of 5 Mile that would be accompanied really to help all the tenants in the overall center, not just the 4 tenants that are on our site. It'd be shared signage for the overall center.
What's the only one that has that window?
So I was still looking at the plan. So what are you doing with the other 3 facades? You were going to have another sign there,
No.
what did you say?
No changes to the facades. It doesn't do it justice. I was just out there about an hour or so ago. It's just the canopies are sun damaged, worn down, very old. So, part of the overall plan is to bring those, with a more fresh, new canopy. Not necessarily any facade changes. The facade change would really only be to that former Arby's space.
It's interesting you mentioned the window because Kendra Barberina and I were on the commission at the time that we approved that, and I know there was quite a bit of discussion about that window. They were using red frame because that was part of their corporate color, and then they were going to put the cowboy hat or whatever it's supposed to be. So it's interesting you're coming back, and because there was some concern about the window when the building was built.
Right, I believe Arby's was putting like a logo or a sign within the window, and that was getting around the sign ordinance because it was in the window and it wasn't outside the building.
I'm unfamiliar with some time ago with the Arby's, but that is very, I guess, interesting.
Anything in the window right now?
No, the signage and everything that was removed, when they closed their doors for business. So there is no signage in there. If you were to look in the window, it's just a blank, white drywall.
Okay, because I think that's why Arby's wanted it, is so that they could have like their logo or something in the window. And that was a strong talking point back in the day. So will Chipotle take just the space of Arby's or expanding?
The Arby's space is a little bigger than what their prototypical layout is. So they're taking just the Arby's space. They won't be expanding. They're essentially, making it fit their model. So they were able to lay out a floor plan, which I believe they've submitted, and ultimately got approval on for the interior building permit. So they actually have fully baked plans ready to, to build out and, press on construction to open it as soon as they possibly can, being, I guess, fitting within the parameters that we've given them.
So what happens to the other 3 buildings?
The other 3 tenant spaces?
Yeah.
Right now, we're still figuring that part out. Chipotle is a client, one of our largest clients. We do work with them all the way from Maine to, Missouri. And, we came here knowing that, want to be in a part of the community. This is a location that was on, their list of target markets. And we figured that, we can figure out the rest when you're bringing a high quality user like Chipotle, that this would be a good investment to make.
It's been a while since I frequented this Arby's, and it's been closed, I guess, for some time. And I found that when I went through the drive-through, it was a little bit tight. I think the problem was where the speaker system was. So I'm presuming there won't be that speaker anymore. You just drive up, you tell them on your app that you have arrived. And
exactly. So there'll be no order point, no speaker box. That's actually, I was out there today, that all of that equipment was removed a part of their close down. So, the way the app's got the location services, you log in, you get there, you notify them you're there, you drive right up to the window, they hand you the bag, and you're out. It's pretty seamless.
Looks like they put a pole in to keep people from hitting the speaker.
Yeah, and actually the bollard's no longer there. I imagine, based on the location of it, looked like maybe they had some previous issues with maybe a car hopping the curb and,
Yeah, sure
and
looks
touching
that way.
that menu board.
Probably late at night.
I can imagine.
If I could ask a question, there's a brick wall along the eastern border of that property. The very front of it now is completely damaged and trashed. Is that part of your remit, or does that belong to the other landlord? Bob, if you can go forward, it's right at the front of that wall along the right side. Yep. Can you zoom in on that a little bit? I don't know if it lets you. Yeah, right where Bob has the, okay, yeah. Oh, there it is.
Right, there it is.
So I was unaware of this, and I did not notice when I was out there today. A part of our overall plans right now, we've been hyper focused on the building itself. Although, with Chipotle being a national brand and this being our property, we do take pride in our property, and we want this to be something that's presentable. So it's definitely something, now that we have ownership of the property, which is within maybe the last 30 days, we're looking to clean it up and make this an attraction for people to want to visit, Chipotle. So
Probably the same guy that hit the menu sign. He had a bad day.
he did some damage out there.
So are we to take it that you'll fix that?
What was that?
So are we to take it that you'll fix that?
Yeah, we can certainly look at it. I imagine that's something that our tenant, being the landlord, our tenant's going to want that fixed as well, because they have a brand to withhold. Okay. So absolutely, now that I'm aware, I'll get with our asset management team and we'll definitely fix it. There's a lot of trash. There's a lot of things that need to be cleaned up.
It looked a little rough.
So bringing some additional traffic will definitely help, and having a business with Chipotle that seems to be thriving right now, and I think it'd be a good addition to the condo association.
Have you done any studies as far as parking? I know that this strip mall can get extremely busy during lunchtime, and people actually park next door in the industrial building and then walk across.
I have not done any traffic studies, so.
Like parking studies, making sure that there's enough space for, I know it meets our standards, but there's just a lot of
It does get crowded.
restaurants in there, and it
It
gets
wasn't
really
originally
tight.
all restaurants.
Right.
There was other businesses in there originally that were not restaurants.
not many, but there were a few.
Right, and there's, I believe, 3 owners in those 3.
Oh, there's 3 owners.
Yeah. There was a
Yeah,
lot of
so that
work
was
done
a-
behind the
an
scenes
issue
to
too.
coordinate the look of that whole development.
So I guess to answer your question, no, I have not done a parking study. I think it's something we can certainly go back and look at. But given that we're fitting within the parameters of the building, I guess it just hasn't been something that had been brought up to date.
And as far as the parking, you have the right to be there. It was just something I was bringing to your attention.
Oh,
That it's
yeah.
been an issue in the past with not having enough parking spots.
Okay.
Wasn't there urgent care in there at one time, or? And it turned into a smoke shop?
There was an ice cream store there for a while.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
that's right.
right.
There was
There's an ice cream store right next to the.
what's that high-end ice cream store?
Yeah, it's
The
not
Cold Stone at first? and
No,
then
it was
went to
one, I
the-
don't think it's still in business.
Menchie's.
It wasn't Munchies.
It wasn't
It was
a
similar to
Menchie's?
Munchies, I think, but I don't think it was Munchies. But something like that,
It was next to the car wash on the other
Right.
side.
right? Because we had the issue, we wanted to know if the spray from the car wash was going to get the people eating their ice cream. Yeah, where the nail spa is, that was an ice
But
cream
I
place.
think as you're scrolling across the front here, there are no other buildings that have a second floor window. And to my view, architectural view, I actually think what's being proposed is more architecturally consistent with the rest of the development than the windows are.
And I think back when Arby's wanted the big window, I don't think we're entirely in favor of it.
No.
So, given
Controversial
that,
call.
I think it's okay to have it bricked in for a more uniform look with the rest of the complex.
So I have a question for Laura. So there are two signs on that building on the side. Is that, how does that work? Because I thought there always had to be an entrance where the sign was. Did we change that?
The signage is not approved as part of this application.
Oh, okay.
So will that be administratively, the signage then, or through the building department?
If it meets the code, but the fact that they're showing the second sign on the east elevation.
Right.
That would require a variance.
Okay, that's what I thought. Other questions? You had any more thoughts you wanted to share?
No, I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to me and let me, present, but we're definitely excited to be a part of the community now, and I know Chipotle is excited to be here, so thank you for the consideration.
So are you associated with the Chipotle's that's across, kitty corner from this building?
I'm not, I did not have any involvement on that project, but, we've done a handful of the Chipotles in the surrounding areas. I know there's a brand new one that opened up down in Canton and, over by the Walmart, but I was not involved with the one nearby.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I recommend that we approve the facade material changes to the east elevation as well as the facade material changes to the north elevation for
The application,
application 2490 at 47135 5 Mile Road.
Is there support? Support. Moved by Commissioner Boyd and supported by Commissioner Dorchevitz to approve application 2490, subject to said conditions. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Well,
you, guys.
congratulations and thanks for your investment here.
Thank you, appreciate the time.
There is no unfinished business. What about the monthly planning report? Which I don't think I got either. I'll let you mention it. No, I didn't get that. Anything we should be aware of, Laura, on the monthly report?
No, just there's a number of projects that are coming forth for November. So I will be sending out an email, seeing if we can do a special meeting to try to break up. There's a lot of projects that are coming forth, so it would make for a very long evening on the 15th. If there's any availability to meet on the study session night, but have it a regular meeting. So I'll be
So
sending that
November
out tomorrow.
1st.
The first, correct, yes.
And the commission's okay? No questions?
That would be great if we could break it up. I think we just do a better job and we can really hear everyone better.
And then the review and discussion only on our proposed calendar.
I had a question on, so February 7th is the first Wednesday instead of the 3rd. So I was curious about that. Is the room not available?
It is, yes. So there's a couple things with these dates that I want to bring to your attention. So February is the first Wednesday of the month, and then March is the fourth Wednesday. And these dates have been proposed to coincide with holidays, but also with the clerk's office to ensure that this room isn't reserved or needed for elections or something related to that. So if there's an oddity like February 7th, it's because of that.
Okay.
The
So-
other,
Oh, I'm sorry, was this included in our packet?
yes.
Yeah, I didn't get it either. So those are two things, or three, I don't even see the monthly report. But I was going through this, so I might have left that part at home, but I don't
Okay.
think so.
I got 2 of the conditional rezoning.
You got Dennis's.
No, I
he
got that.
got that one.
I got that.
I don't know.
Okay, I'll look on the web.
Okay. The Wednesday, December 18th date, this is also the third Wednesday. So, discussion if you think that might be too late, the way the holiday falls that December.
Could we do that one the 11th? Because generally in December, we do the second Wednesday of the month. Except I think this year we're doing the first.
Yes, if that's an adjustment you'd like to make, we can look at that date for sure.
Do you like the 11th better than the 18th?
Yeah, the 18th is my birthday, and you guys are all gonna want to celebrate, so
Yeah.
we better keep that day open.
Well, we could have a birthday cake if we had it on the 18th.
Right. Okay, so let's see, so is the 14th, well, that's, I guess, February 14th? 11th. Right, I mean, in February, by having it the 7th, is that,
Yeah, the 7th is what that date needs to be.
okay, there's nothing else in that month, okay. That's a long time then, too, till March 27th. I think all the rest are on the third Wednesday.
Yes.
Okay, so we need to adopt this calendar now, is that what you're looking for?
To recommend to the board to adopt. Yeah, recommend to the board to adopt, please, with any changes for December. If you wanted to keep it the 18th or move to the 11th.
The 11th.
I like the
I
11th.
like the 11th, Bob. Yep,
Yeah,
yeah.
is November 20th the day before Thanksgiving?
No, she has it on here, actually, very helpfully.
Oh. Oh, yeah.
We have met the night before Thanksgiving, though, until 1:45 in the morning.
Oh. I would not have stayed.
That was the old building.
Kay was upset because she had to cook the turkey.
Right. So I move that we recommend the Board of Trustees approve the meeting dates with the change that the Wednesday meeting be December 11th of 2024, but that all the others are fine.
Is there support?
Support.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Barberina, supported by Commissioner Poi to recommend to the Board of Trustees the approval of our Planning Commission 2024 meeting dates. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And the resolution of appreciation for John Itzel, those of you that are here have signed it, but Laura, I'm going to turn this back to you so when the other commissioners arrive, they can, next month probably.
Should we
Okay.
read it at that time?
Yeah, we'll read it at that time.
Okay, so would you like it on the agenda for
Yes.
the next
please.
available
Yeah,
meeting?
please.
Okay.
And I'll give it to you after the meeting. Next is commissioner comments. So are there any comments? Start here.
I have two subjects today. First, regarding the Plymouth Walk site. Thank you, Commissioner Sabelski, for pointing out to me that there was quite a long thread on Open Door, or Next Door, I'm sorry, bemoaning the loss of trees on the Plymouth Walk site. And I think all of us share that sadness, but unfortunately, as things go on Next Door, there really wasn't a clear explanation of what had happened. So just for the record, I want to cite the August 17th, 2022 meeting deck that we all went through. On page 82, it points out that there are 325 trees on the site that were preserved. Also, on pages 78 to 80, it articulates the new trees that are being added by the developer. There's a total of 674 deciduous trees and 339 evergreen trees, totaling 1,013 additional new trees that are going in addition to, at least how I read it, the 325 trees that are preserved. I would also note that on the meeting minutes, it was noted on page 4 by Ms. Howe that the final review of that site resulted in the addition of 41 additional heritage trees. So I'm simply making the point that while we're all, I mean, personally, I'm sorry to see that all those trees go. This group, Planning Commission, and Ms. Haw, and even Supervisor Heisey in meeting with the developer, made a real effort to improve the number of trees that were preserved on the site. My second comment has to do with entirely different subject. On a couple of occasions, I've asked that the Plymouth Township age-friendly assessment document that was emailed to us back, I think, in March, actually be discussed by the Planning Commission, and to date, that hasn't shown up on an agenda. This paper is based on a project that had a response rate of 1.2% of households in Plymouth. I think you might be tend to just disregard it. However, the recommendations in this age-friendly assessment paper mirror very closely the recommendations that are being advocated by the Michigan Association of Planners to their member organizations and municipal planners. These recommendations, I think, may be spot on for some municipalities in Michigan, but my own personal view is that they're not advisable for Plymouth Township, either at this time or within the time frame of the next master plan. But this is just my view. There's other members on this commission, and I think we as a commission need to go through and discuss these recommendations and how we feel and see if there's any consensus. We also need to hear McKenna's view on these. And I think we need to recognize that during the term of our next master plan, it is very possible that we will be asked to review site plan proposals that include one or more of these recommendations that are part of this Plymouth Township age-friendly assessment. So my view is that we need to discuss and, if appropriate, address these proposals as part of our update on the master plan, and then let the Board of Trustees decide as the elected representatives of the township whether they agree with these recommendations. So accordingly, I make a motion that we conduct a review and discussion of the actions proposed on the age-friendly assessment during a Planning Commission study session that should also be scheduled at the same time as we discuss proposed updates to the 2025 master plan.
That's a motion?
That's a motion.
Okay,
I'll second that.
okay. Any other discussion on that, or save it up for meeting? Are we ready? Okay, well, we're voting on placing the, what's the title of it?
The title is the age-friendly assessment study.
Okay. To be discussed at a work session together with the review of the master plan. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that was made by Commissioner Boyd and supported by Commissioner Dorchevitz. Is that it for you?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Okay. Kendra, do you have anything?
I was just going to make a motion to postpone the minutes to the next meeting.
Oh, did we do that at the beginning?
I think I tabled it to the end of the
Tabled
meeting,
them.
Oh.
thinking Gail might come.
Oh, okay.
Did anybody have any changes in reviewing the minutes? I didn't. If there's no changes, could we
Might
go
just
ahead and
approve 'em?
approve it tonight anyway? Or is it more appropriate just to postpone it?
It's up to you guys.
It's up to the commission.
Well, if we approve them, then we won't be subject to the issue of not having minutes approved in a timely manner. You know, we were kind of, took a few shots on
Yeah, I
that
know.
before.
Laura, do you know, has Gail had a chance to review the minutes?
I know that Gail has reviewed the study session minutes, and I believe she reviewed the regular meeting as well, but I can't specifically remember an email from that.
That would be
Bob,
my concern, is if Gail hasn't reviewed them.
Bob, is there any provision for, if we're not prepared, we're waiting to, for the secretary to review them?
I don't know, but I don't see why not, I guess. I mean, if they're not reviewed, they're not reviewed.
I guess what we
Can
could
we
do,
publish
if
them
there
as
was,
tentative?
they're published as proposed minutes, and
Yeah.
then there's another column that says approved
Oh,
minutes.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
I made
what
that
we
change.
could do is, we could approve it. Oh,
Was emailed.
pardon?
She was emailed the
Gail
proposed
was?
minutes, so she saw them.
Do you know if, oh, yeah, she saw
She
them, but,
didn't give me any corrections.
oh,
Okay,
okay.
for both sets of minutes?
I don't know about the study session. Denise has sent her those.
Okay,
The-
so Laura
But the
said,
study session, she confirmed with me that she was good.
okay, and then you were in correspondence with her regarding the regular meeting minutes?
I emailed them to her.
Okay, perfect.
I think we could approve them today, and if there is some kind of a problem with them, we can just add that on the other minutes, similar to what I did with the Myers explanation, so I think we could do it that way.
And it is
Just correct
up
them
to-
at the next meeting and just add, there's a note to the minutes. That way, that removes us from people thinking that we're up to something not legit.
Well, so it's up to all of us to review the minutes. I
Right.
just wanted
I
to,
looked
if
at
she
them
were
and-
here.
Yeah. Well, why don't we
but-
approve both of them?
But also, is there a deadline to having them approved? Because some of our meetings even we could go 2 months, 3 months without even having a
No,
meeting.
we've changed all that. We're following Michigan law.
Okay. Okay, then,
So what did we decide?
From my view, I think, and it's open for discussion, that we should approve the minutes today, and, because I haven't heard any negative aspect of it,
are any issues with them?
any issues about it. And then if Gail says, oh, well, this is wrong, we can make a note of that in next month's
Okay,
minutes.
all right.
It's a similar process that we've done in the past. So-
Yeah, okay, I'm cool with that.
Okay, so who wants to make the motion to approve them?
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, I propose that we approve the proposed minutes for the September 20th, 23 Planning Commission regular meeting and the minutes for the Wednesday, October 4th, 2023 work session meeting.
support?
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Boyden, supported by Commissioner Dorchevitz to approve the September 20th and October 4 minutes as submitted. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Anything else?
Happy to be going home at a decent time. so-
Well, I have some comments. Sorry to say that.
Only gonna be about 90 minutes.
No. It's, hopefully it'll be, it's questions mostly for Laura. So, Laura, I have a question. I noted that the SPAR development, they had a study session at the BOT level. So my question is, why was the SPAR development moved to the BOT when there was substantial change in the plan when we reviewed it? It's similar to what we ran into with the Ridge Road, plan that they had with the condos, and then it's a charter school and all that. We had to look at it. And so maybe you can explain to us what's the law or what's the rationale for it?
But the planning commission made a recommendation to the board of trustees, so the due process follows that it does go to them. They have the option of sending it back to the planning commission if they like, but that is the next step. And there had been previous discussions on, about that project at the board level. I think a couple meetings ago, there were a bunch of questions. So it was on there for discussion and enlightenment only.
But how different can a plan be between us, or the planning commission and the board of trustees, before it gets sent back to us instead of going to them? Do you follow? Because it seemed like that was a different plan in many ways than what we had looked at. So at what point does it not go to the BOT and just come back to us?
The plan may very well come back to this commission. Since it's a conditional rezoning, it's entirely on the applicant to offer any changes. And that's what they resupplied to the township, and it went for discussion at the board.
And the other one that I have, so, when I looked at the Board of Trustee packet, so the minutes of our April 13th meeting, when we discussed this SPAR development, our whole minutes are in there. And it would seem more efficient for the trustees not to have to flip through the whole minutes and just look at the portion of the minutes that deal with the SPAR's development.
Yes, but I mean, to be honest, we've been trying to just include everything so that it's just clear these are the meeting minutes, and you have everything from that meeting to look through. Whether there's a commissioner comment at the end, nothing is being held back.
Right, I can see it. You have the date, you have who was there, you have like the whole context of the meeting. If
Yeah.
something was said at public comment early on or at the end of the meeting.
And then, again, back to the SPAR's development. So the minutes, it goes into detail, not heavy detail, but some detail about each, some of the public that spoke about it, pro or not pro, mostly not pro. But there was really a record of any discussion topics, not that I'm looking for something verbatim, on what the commission was. Because then at the trustee meeting, and I've seen this happen at other things that they're reviewing after we send something to them, that saying, well, what was the thinking? And, Bob does a great job, going through that. But it would be nice if there was some written commentary about the thinking that went into our decision.
And I'm always a little uncomfortable for running the risk of mischaracterizing what somebody said. I'm trying to get in the habit of going back and rewatching it in case I'm asked, but, I don't mind doing it. It's just, I just don't want to put words in people's mouths.
Well, I think there's three things to that, because it's valid. One is that the planning department does not write the minutes. That's the responsibility of the clerk's office. So I would just advise that any comments of what you'd like to see included or not, a greater detail would be made to them. And then the commission is also, of course, like tonight, responsible for making sure that you feel the minutes accurately capture the sentiments of your discussions. And then I think Nani and I have both tried to communicate that those findings of fact are particularly important in making those motions and making sure they're really concrete and laying out, the rationale and reasoning, so that even in 5 years, it's really clear whoever's picking up these minutes of why a decision was reached and made.
Yeah, and I agree with what what you're saying, and I think that I look at the minutes. I didn't catch that, only when I saw the meeting and I could see how things are viewed and the discussion. So, and I try to emphasize here at the meeting, be sure to put the findings of facts in there. And you did have the findings of facts. Kendra made the motion and said it was inconsistent with the master plan. But that wasn't even included in your report to the Board of Trustees. There was no mention while the commission denied it, but why? That never came up. They would have to go to the minutes to see that.
Well, yeah, yes, but that's why we attach the minutes, the whole minutes. We're not rephrasing anything. We're just directing exactly to what happened at that meeting, whether it was a year ago or whether it was,
So you only relate to them the decision and not the findings of fact?
the decision is in the minutes, yes.
But verbally, that it's not carried back on. So we're depending on the trustees to read through that.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Well, I mean, that's part of due diligence. The meetings are also all recorded as well, so there's plenty
know.
that folks can go back and look at.
But I'm not wrong.
No, I know. Okay. And
Well, the other thing to that is that findings of fact, are critically important, but it's not a fine line between what's a fact and what's an opinion. And so sometimes it gets difficult. You gotta, if the setback was 35 feet, that's a fact. Blue is a nice color that blends with the surroundings is an opinion, but it still could be a finding of fact. And that's what the art form comes into. It's not really sometimes you just gotta, find the right words to express that, because I think it's a challenge for everybody.
it's hard to come up with findings of fact at the spur of the moment.
It is.
It
is.
Especially if you have a group of people that have been very vocal, which is fine. But, we're trying to make sense of what we're hearing and what we can or can't do legally.
Right, because a lot of times what the public is concerned about is something that we have no jurisdiction over, like, there's nothing that we can do about it.
Yeah, that's a big challenge.
But yeah, to make a motion on the fly with very little time to like prepare
One
and
of
to
the
try to like summarize everybody's feelings or everybody's opinions.
Yeah, one of the things that's different for the Board of Trustees, when you watch a Board of Trustees meeting, somebody makes a motion, they're reading that from the packet, and it's prepared. But we don't have any framework or guideline to even, start it. I mean, Kendra, you did a fabulous job tonight, putting those words into motions, and so did you, Tim. But it's, that's also, I wonder if there's something we could do, to be a little bit, follow what I'm saying?
Well, yes, and I think our reviews do try to do that on the last page,
Yeah.
recommend approval of application XYZ.
I guess they do.
There's a difference, though, if our recommendation is to approve with XYZ and the decision of the commission is a denial for XYZ.
Right.
Which sort of leads into my final question or opinion or whatever you want to call it, is at that meeting, there was some discussion about those apartments at the SPAR development. And you mentioned a study that revealed that approximately 74%, I think that's the right number, of the population do not want single-family houses. They would prefer rental.
No, that's a misquote. What I was saying is that the housing stock of the township is approximately 80% single family. And there's a mismatch between the market on that the entire 80% is not looking for a single family home in today's market. That they're looking for other options of housing. So there's a mismatch between that, between what the supply is and what the interest and demand is. And that being more versatile with housing, having those different opportunities in your community makes you more resilient and makes you more desirable.
Yeah, it didn't come out that way. It came out, the way you expressed it was, it sounded like you were saying 78% of the people across the nation want rental properties, not home ownership. That's what it sounded like.
No, that's not what I was trying to say.
No. I know.
And it's not even ownership versus rental, it's just even just single family versus I want to own a loft space or a condo.
Right.
Yeah, there's a
We should,
mismatch there.
as part of our update to the master plan, we need to update those percentages to reflect the addition of Plymouth Walk, the development at Courthouse Grill, and also potentially the land, a little early, but we have a large tract of land in western Plymouth Township, North Territorial, just west of M14, that's zoned multifamily residential, which potentially could become that. I mean, if we follow the zoning plan, it will become that in the future. So those ratios might change, or I'm sure they will change, between what you quoted and what we're on track for now.
All I have.
Well, maybe during some of the meetings where we need a more complex, I guess, motion, maybe we could just have a pause and say, like, ask if maybe whoever wants to make the motion, if we could just take a moment to put together their thoughts.
The notes, what some of the commissioners have said, what's in the report. I think we just have to look carefully. I always look at your recommendations, and the reason for it, and, tailor the motion to that. But sometimes other information comes in, and what you think is a good thing turns out to be a bad thing.
Yeah.
So maybe if whoever plans to make the motion could say, I'd like to make a motion, but I need a moment to put it together.
Well, the other thing is, we were told at one time, and perhaps we can ask Kevin about this, but Tim Cronin, I believe, told us once that if you make a motion and you find a problem with that motion, you can change it at the next meeting as long as you don't change the decision of the motion.
That is
But
what
we've
Tim
got to
Cronin
figure out,
said.
is that, there are lawyers and there
That
are
was-
lawyers and
That
things
was probably
change.
15 years ago.
Yeah.
Tim Cronin, we had a meeting on doing motions, and
I'll find a lawyer that'll give you any opinion
Yes,
you want.
you got that
For
right.
the right price.
who's this known for the short answer is yes. The
Yes.
short answer is
It
no.
depends. The engineer's answer,
Yeah,
it depends.
Well, it's something just to raise our sensitivity about on the motion making, and that's being carried accurately to the Board of
Right, and it's
Trustees.
particularly important for projects where the planning commission is recommending a different solution than the planning department is recommending.
And
That's
there's
probably
potential
what's-
risk of litigation becomes pretty critical, as we know.
Okay, is that it for everybody? Is there a motion to adjourn at 8:28?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adjourn at 8:28.
Okay, is there support?
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Barberina, supported by Commissioner Boyd to adjourn the meeting at 8:28. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries to adjourn.